This podcast is powered by Growth Suite. Growth Suite helps you to run smart discount campaigns on your store. Test it for free on your Shopify store. Just land on the Shopify App Store now and test it for free. Hey there, and welcome to another deep dive on the Conversion Bible. Today we're going to unlock the next level of optimization for your Shopify store. We're talking about multivariate testing.
MVT?
MVT, exactly. And to guide us through this exciting world, we have our resident CRO expert.
Happy to be here. Always happy to geek out about conversions.
Okay, so let's dive right in. Imagine this.
Yeah.
You can test multiple changes to your store all at once.
Not just one element.
Yeah. Not like those old school A/B tests.
Right.
We're talking about testing different headlines.
Images.
Button colors, all at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
That's MVT in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And we're breaking down a recent article from the Conversion Bible called Multivariate Testing on Shopify, a guide to advanced CRO. It's by Mohammed Tawfiq, published just a few days ago on March 16, 2025.
Yeah, it's a game changer, really. Think of A/B testing as trying different ingredients one by one in a recipe.
Okay.
Multivariate testing is like mixing and matching those ingredients simultaneously to discover a whole new flavor profile.
I love that analogy. But what's the real advantage here? Why not just stick with A/B testing?
Well, A/B testing can be a bit like searching for a needle in a haystack.
Okay.
It's slow, and you might miss how those elements actually work together. MVT gives you a more holistic view, revealing those hidden synergies that can make a huge difference in your conversion rates. For example, you might find that a green button only converts well when paired with a particular product image, something a simple A/B test could easily miss.
That makes total sense. But I've heard that MVT can be really complex and it requires a ton of traffic.
Yeah.
Isn't that a bit overwhelming for the average Shopify store owner?
It's a valid concern. The article mentions needing at least 10,000 visitors a month for reliable results. But honestly, if you're just starting out or have limited traffic, focusing on solid A/B testing is a good strategy. Don't feel like you need to jump into the deep end right away.
So when does MVT become the right tool? Is it only for the big players with massive traffic?
Not necessarily. If you're already seeing success with your current design and want to fine-tune it, MVT can help squeeze out those extra conversions. High-traffic stores are definitely ideal candidates, but even smaller stores with focused campaigns can benefit.
Okay.
Think of it as a way to get the most out of your existing traffic.
The article dives into full factorial testing, where you test every possible combination. That sounds intense, but I guess it makes sense if you want the most comprehensive insights, right?
Right, but it can be a resource hog, especially if you're testing a lot of variations. It's like going for a full-blown scientific experiment, which might not be practical for everyone. The key is to be strategic. Maybe start by focusing on your hero image, call to action, and product descriptions, the elements with the biggest potential impact.
Okay, so we've established when to use MVT. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of actually implementing it on Shopify. I know there are different approaches. What's the best way to get started?
Well, you have a few options. For simpler tests, Shopify apps like IntelliGems or Trident AB can be quite user-friendly.
Okay.
But if you need more flexibility and control, dedicated platforms like Chameleon or Shogun are the way to go.
Hold on, those sound familiar. But remind me, what's the difference? Why would someone choose one platform over another?
Well, platforms like Chameleon and Shogun are like the powerhouses of the MVT world. They offer advanced features, customization options, and integrations that might be overkill for smaller stores or simpler tests.
Right.
If you need granular segmentation, advanced reporting, or have a dedicated CRO team, these platforms can be worth the investment.
That clarifies things. Now, I bet there's some integration headaches along the way. Is there anything our listeners should watch out for?
You're right, there are always potential challenges.
Yeah.
First and foremost, make sure your Shopify theme is compatible with the tool you choose, or things could get messy quickly. Mobile responsiveness is another biggie. Test those variations on different devices.
Yeah.
And don't forget about analytics integration. You need those insights flowing smoothly to make informed decisions.
So let's assume you've got the technical stuff figured out. How do you design MVTs that actually deliver results? It can't just be randomly changing things, right?
Definitely not. You need a clear hypothesis for each variation.
Okay.
For example, if you're testing headlines, ask yourself, will a benefit-driven headline outperform a feature-focused one? Will changing the button color from blue to green increase clicks?
So it's not just about testing, but about understanding the why behind those changes. What are some common elements that people should be testing on Shopify?
There are a lot of options. The article highlights some good ones like product page layout, call to action buttons, images, pricing, and even checkout elements.
Wow, that's a lot to digest. We're just scratching the surface here. But before we get too deep into the weeds, I want to switch gears and explore some real-world examples. What are some Shopify stores that have nailed MVT and seen fantastic results?
There are some great case studies in the article. Let's take a closer look at those after a quick break. All right, let's get into some real-world examples of MVT in action.
Perfect. I always find it helpful to see how these concepts actually play out in the wild.
Absolutely. So the first case study that really stood out to me was this fashion e-commerce brand that wanted to revamp their product pages.
Okay.
They decided to go all in with full factorial testing, which, as we discussed, is the most comprehensive approach.
Right.
They tested different combinations of their call to action button, color, the style of product images, and even the format of their product descriptions.
Wow, that's ambitious. Did they find that sweet spot, that winning combination?
They absolutely did. Turns out a bold CTA color paired with what the article called an in-context lifestyle image think models, wearing the clothes in a real-life setting, boosted their conversions by a staggering 12%.
12%. That's not just a nudge, that's a serious jump. But what was it about that specific combination that resonated with their audience?
Well, if you think about their target market, young, fashion-conscious shoppers, it makes sense.
Yeah.
The lifestyle images weren't just showcasing the product, they were selling a lifestyle and aspiration, and the bold CTA likely created a sense of urgency, encouraging those impulse buys.
That's a great point. It's not just about changing elements randomly. It's about understanding your audience and crafting an experience that speaks directly to their desires.
Exactly. And this case study highlights another crucial aspect of MVT, the power of synergy.
Oh.
The brand discovered that a specific type of bullet point style in their product descriptions was only effective when paired with a particular CTA design.
Wait, so the bullet points themselves weren't the magic ingredient. It was the combination that made the difference.
Precisely. That's why MVT is so valuable. It reveals those hidden relationships between elements that you wouldn't catch with traditional A/B testing.
Okay, that's mind-blowing. It's like those cooking shows where they tweak a seemingly insignificant ingredient and suddenly the whole dish transforms.
I love that analogy. And speaking of unexpected elements, the next case study involves something you might not think is that important: the announcement bar.
You mean that little bar at the top of the page that often gets ignored?
Exactly, but Salty Captain, an apparel brand, decided to put it to the test.
Okay.
They wanted to see if tweaking its color and position would make a difference. They tested 2 colors and 2 positions, top and bottom of the page.
I'm curious, did something as subtle as moving the announcement bar actually have an impact?
You bet it did. They saw a 13.39% lift in overall conversions and a whopping 234.54% increase in clicks on the announcement bar itself.
Wow, so it's not just about those big hero banners and flashy CTAs. Sometimes optimizing those seemingly minor elements can lead to big wins.
Absolutely every element on your site, no matter how small, has the potential to contribute to your conversion goals.
All right, let's move on to our final case study. This one is all about mobile optimization, which is increasingly important in the e-commerce world.
Right. This electronics retailer noticed that a significant chunk of their traffic was coming from mobile devices.
Okay.
They wanted to make sure those visitors were having a smooth, enjoyable experience.
Makes sense. Mobile shopping can be frustrating if the site isn't designed well.
Yeah.
So what elements did they focus on?
They zeroed in on the button size and text layout on their product pages.
Okay.
They tested 2 different button sizes,
Right.
large versus standard, and also played around with single-column versus multi-column layouts for their product information.
I see. So they were trying to find the combination that was easiest to navigate and interact with on a smaller screen.
Exactly. And their hypothesis was spot on. The winning combination was a larger button, making it easier to tap, and a single-column layout, which reduces the need for horizontal scrolling on mobile.
Did this mobile-friendly approach pay off?
Big time. They saw a 15% increase in conversions from mobile traffic, proving that optimizing for mobile is crucial in today's e-commerce landscape.
These case studies are really inspiring, but let's be honest, not every MVT experiment is going to be a smashing success. There are bound to be some bumps along the way.
You're absolutely right. Even seasoned marketers can fall into traps if they're not careful.
So what are some common pitfalls our listeners should watch out for?
Well, one mistake people often make is trying to test too many variables at once.
Yeah.
It's tempting to want to test everything under the sun, but remember, as you add more variables, the number of possible combinations explodes.
Right, and that can quickly become overwhelming. You need a massive amount of traffic to make sense of all that data, and it can be tough to isolate the specific elements that are driving the changes.
Exactly. It's like trying to juggle too many balls at once. You're bound to drop a few.
Yeah.
It's much more effective to start with a smaller number of variables, maybe 2 or 3 key elements, and then gradually expand your scope as you gain more insights.
So start small and focus on those high-impact elements. Got it. What else should our listeners be wary of?
Another common pitfall is insufficient traffic allocation.
Okay.
Remember, with MVT, you're splitting your traffic among multiple variations if you don't have enough traffic to begin with. Each variation will only get a small slice of the pie, making it really hard to reach statistically significant results within a reasonable time frame.
Right. You don't want to be waiting months for conclusive results, especially in the fast-paced world of e-commerce.
Absolutely. So before launching any MVT campaigns, make sure you have enough traffic to support the number of variations you're testing if your traffic is on the lower side. Consider testing fewer variations or extending the duration of your tests.
Okay. So we need to be strategic about traffic allocation. What about analyzing the results? Are there any common mistakes people make in that area?
Definitely one of the biggest traps is misinterpreting the data. It's easy to jump to conclusions and assume that correlation equals causation. Just because two things happen at the same time doesn't mean that one caused the other. There could be other factors at play.
Right. It's like that classic example. Ice cream sales and crime rates both go up in the summer. But that doesn't mean that eating ice cream causes crime.
Exactly. You also need to be aware of external variables that might be skewing your results. For instance, if you're running a big sale or promotion at the same time as your MVT, it can be hard to tell whether the changes in your conversions are due to the test or the sale.
It's like trying to conduct a scientific experiment in a hurricane. You need to isolate the variables as much as possible to get reliable results.
Precisely. And once you have your results, don't forget to validate them. Run follow-up tests to make sure your findings aren't just flukes.
So to recap, we need to be mindful of testing too many variables, make sure we have enough traffic, and be careful not to misinterpret the results. Any other words of wisdom before we wrap up this deep dive into MVT? Those are some great points to keep in mind. So we've talked about the what, the when, the how, and even the watch out of MVT. But it's not just about running a few tests here and there, right?
Right. To really harness the power of MVT, you need to make it part of your store's DNA.
Okay.
We need to talk about building an MVT culture.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What does an MVT culture even look like?
It's about weaving experimentation and optimization into the very fabric of your team's workflow. The article highlights 3 key ingredients for creating this culture: a solid team structure, a clear testing roadmap, and meticulous documentation.
All right, let's break those down. First up, team structure. Who are the key players in this MVT dream team?
You need a CRO lead, as someone who's basically the captain of the optimization ship.
Yeah.
They own the overall testing strategy and make sure it aligns with your business goals.
Makes sense. Someone needs to steer the ship and make sure everyone's rowing in the same direction.
Yeah.
Who else is on board?
Next, you need a designer and developer duo. They're the engineers who bring those test ideas to life, making sure the variations look great and function flawlessly across all devices.
The creative and technical wizards who make the magic happen.
Exactly. And last but not least, you need a data whiz, an analyst who can crunch the numbers, extract meaningful insights from the data, and help you understand what's working and what's not.
So we've got the strategists, the creators, and the data detective. Do you need a separate person for each role?
Not necessarily. In smaller teams, one person might wear multiple hats. But regardless of how you structure it, having clearly defined roles and responsibilities for each stage of the MVT process is crucial.
Okay, so that's the team. What about the testing roadmap? What does that entail?
It's all about having a long-term vision for your MVT efforts. You don't want to just run random tests and hope for the best.
Right.
You need a strategic plan that outlines the key pages or sections of your site you want to optimize over time.
So it's like mapping out your optimization journey, identifying those key destinations you want to reach.
Exactly. And within that roadmap, you should aim to balance quick wins with strategic, long-term goals.
Yeah.
Maybe start with some easier changes that can generate momentum and build confidence, but also allocate time for more complex and ambitious tests that have the potential to unlock significant growth down the line.
It's like any good adventure. You need a destination in mind, but you also want to enjoy the journey along the way.
I like that. And speaking of the journey, the final ingredient for a successful MVT culture is meticulous documentation.
Now, documentation doesn't always sound like the most exciting part. Why is it so crucial?
Because without it, you risk losing valuable insights and repeating past mistakes. It's like trying to navigate a maze without a map. You need to record everything. The variables you tested, the combinations you tried, the duration of the tests, the traffic volumes, the results, and most importantly, the next steps. Keep all of this information in a shared folder or a knowledge base that everyone on the team can easily access.
So it's about creating a collective memory for your team, a library of optimization wisdom that you can build upon over time.
Exactly. This documentation becomes invaluable for onboarding new team members, identifying trends, and making data-driven decisions about future tests.
All right, so we've covered the key ingredients for building an MVT culture: a dedicated team, a strategic roadmap, and meticulous documentation. Seems like a solid recipe for optimization success.
It definitely is. By embracing these principles, you can create an environment where experimentation and optimization become second nature to your team.
Okay, before we wrap up this episode, I want to take a quick peek into the crystal ball. What does the future hold for MVT? Any exciting trends on the horizon?
The future of MVT is looking bright. One major trend is the integration of AI and machine learning. Imagine AI analyzing your store data, suggesting test ideas, automatically allocating traffic to the best performing variations, and even predicting winners before the tests even conclude.
Whoa, that sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It might sound futuristic, but it's becoming increasingly realistic. AI has the potential to streamline the MVT process, reduce the need for manual intervention, and help store owners extract even more value from their testing efforts.
That's exciting. Anything else brewing in the world of MVT?
The article mentions some advanced testing methodologies that are gaining traction. One is multi-armed bandit approaches, which continuously redirect traffic to the top-performing variations in real time, making your tests more dynamic and efficient.
So it's like having a self-optimizing system constantly learning and adapting.
Exactly. There are also fractional factorial designs, which let you test a subset of all possible combinations, great for dealing with lots of variables and limited traffic.
Ah, a way to be more strategic and resourceful with your testing. What about testing beyond your Shopify store?
That's another exciting area. Cross-channel testing is becoming increasingly important. It's about extending your MVT efforts to include email marketing, social media ads, even offline materials, creating a truly holistic optimization strategy.
Wow, it sounds like the possibilities for MVT are endless.
They really are. And with AI and advanced testing methods on the horizon, Shopify store owners have incredible opportunities to unlock even greater levels of optimization and drive phenomenal growth.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into MVT, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
MVT is a powerful tool, but it's not just about increasing conversions for the sake of it. It's about creating a better experience for your customers, making their journey more enjoyable, more engaging, and ultimately more persuasive. By focusing on optimization, you're not just boosting your bottom line, you're building stronger relationships with your customers and setting your store up for long-term success.
Well said. And remember, if you're looking for a tool to help you with that optimization journey, we highly recommend checking out Growth Suite. It's an all-in-one marketing platform that automates key tasks, tracks those essential metrics, and helps you create smarter promotional campaigns.
You can test it out for free on the Shopify App Store. Just search for Growth Suite and start optimizing your store today.
That's it for this episode of the Conversion Bible. We hope you found it insightful and are ready to start experimenting.
Keep testing, keep learning, and keep growing your Shopify business.
This podcast was powered by Growth Suite. Growth Suite helps you to run smart discount campaigns on your store. Test it for free on your Shopify store. Just land on the Shopify App Store now and test it for free.